Hello, and welcome to the Science Cellar. I'm going to talk to you today a little bit about guitars, specifically an acoustic guitar, and what the pieces and parts are and how they work and the science behind the sound. But let's do a little tune first. When I was a little kid, I didn't like to eat. Mama put things on my plate and I dumped them on her feet. And then one day she made this soup and I ate it all in bed. I asked her what she put in it, and this is what she said. It was chicken lips and lizard hips and alligator eyes, monkey legs and buzzard eggs and salamander thighs, rabbit ears and camel rears and tasty toenail pie. Stir it all together and that's Mama's soup surprise. Well, I went into the bathroom and I stood beside the sink. I said, I'm feeling slightly ill and I think I need a drink. Mama said, well, I've just the thing and I'll bring it in a wink. It's full of lots of proteins and vitamins, I think. It was chicken lips and lizard hips and alligator eyes, monkey legs and buzzard eggs and salamander thighs, rabbit ears and camel rears and tasty toenail pies. Stir it all together, that's a Mama soup surprise. Yeah, stir it all together and that's Mama soup surprise. All right. This is a harmonica. We'll maybe talk about that in the Science Cellar on another day. But today, I want to talk to you about guitars, specifically an acoustic guitar. Acoustic because it's not plugged into anything, so all the sound coming from it is made by the instrument and the player with no electronic help at all. So let's start off by figuring out what exactly the parts of the guitar. All right, let's talk a little bit about the parts of a guitar. There's going to be some funky edits on this tape because I'm not really very good at this. This is the body of the guitar, the big part right here. And every guitar has a body. This one is a little different. It has what's called a cutaway, because you can kind of see the body with, here's your shoulders, here's your hips. This shoulder's cut away so that the guitar player can get her hand farther up the neck and play higher notes up here. So the body of a guitar, an acoustic guitar specifically, is going to have a sound hole in it. And what the sound hole does is it allows the sound from the plucked string to bang around in there and project out and makes it louder. If we covered this hole, this guitar wouldn't be nearly as loud. So it's important to have a sound hole to make an acoustic guitar project a little more. And you'll see different kind of guitars, acoustics, that have different sound holes in different funky areas, and they're just trying to work out new ways to do it. But mostly to let the sound really project, you want a hole in there. This right here is called the bridge. That part is called the bridge of the guitar. And then the white part right on top of that is called the saddle. And then those little black knobs that are sticking at the end of each string are called bridge pins. And what they do is they hold the string into the bridge of the guitar, and the string comes out and goes up and over the saddle, over the sound hole, down the neck of the guitar. This is the neck right here, to the headstock, okay? And then at the headstock of the guitar, this little white part here is called the nut. And that's where the strings come, they finish going up the neck and they stop right there. And that nut holds them level, holds them up above the frets and kind of in concert with the saddle on the other end of the guitar. The two little white pieces. They're usually made of camel bone. They can be plastic and stuff like that, but the good ones, the really good ones, is camel bone. And then you have tuning keys, or tuning machines as they might call them. And they're just a little twisty lever. They got a little gear in the back in here. Oh, I got my other guitar, which this has both shoulders. I can show you that. You can see the tuning machines are not covered up. So there you can just see the gears. See them moving, see how it turns and tightens and loosens the string. Very, very slowly, very, very slowly, because you don't want to move too fast when you're tuning guitar. Now this particular deal here on the end, that's a guitar tuner, and we'll put this one back. Let's see if you can see that. There, see, we want to be to D. So I went too low. I'm going to hit that string. And this is how a guitar player knows his guitar is in tune. And so the crowd is going to hear something good. So that's, we're trying to tune the string to D. And when the green, there's the green. Now we're back in tune. All right. So what do we need to talk about? We need to talk about other parts of the neck. So the neck is usually attached to the body, and the neck of most acoustic guitars, it has to be pretty solid, okay? The whole guitar kind of has to be solid. I wonder if you can see inside there. Can you see inside in the back of the guitar? There's little ribs. It's called bracing. You can kind of see two of them in this guitar. I'll line that up very good. Anyway, you can kind of see two of the ribs in there. And so it's very thin wood all around the guitar. You can see how thin that wood is. But then it's braced up with other pieces of wood so it doesn't collapse and crack on itself. It has to be pretty tough, and I'll tell you why. The neck here, this neck is mahogany, that one is rosewood. But the neck has to be really strong because between the bridge and the head pin's up here, the tuning keys, there's about 200 pounds of pressure pulling that guitar together, okay, pulling from here up to here. When all those strings, all 6 strings on a guitar are tuned up and tight, there's about 200 pounds of just trying to crush that guitar, just trying to suck it in together. And that tension is what makes the strings different tunes, different tones. So things need to be pretty solid, and they need to be held together pretty well. And I'm going to see, I don't know if you can see this. Yes, you can. See that little hole right in there? Right there? It's right by the neck. That's the end of the truss rod, okay? There's a piece of metal, a piece of steel actually, that goes all the way up, and both of these guitars have it inside. Some guitars you'll see a little cover right up here, and you get to the truss rod this way. In this guitar you would access the truss rod right there, but the truss rod is a piece of metal that lies inside the neck of the guitar, and that helps somebody who works on a guitar. They're called a luthier. If you work on a guitar, you're called a luthier. It's L-U-T-H-I-E-R. And that piece of metal can make the neck of the guitar either more flat or more curved. And most guitar players, you want it pretty flat. You want the string to be about this. You want to be able to hit it here and hit it here without having to push it much farther down. But the other problem with if your neck is not flat, or if it's twisted, like if it's twisted this way and you get a crimp in there, you get little buzzes and vibrations, and your guitar won't sound clean. You'll have buzzes in it, and it'll be tougher to play because some strings will be actually sticking up in your way when you're trying to reach a finger over them, or you're trying to hold them down. It'll be harder to hold one string down than another string because the neck is off. So it's a very finely tuned machine. A good, well-tuned guitar is a really finely tuned work of art. So on the neck, and there on the top of the neck too, there's going to be a really hardwood. This one over here is an ebony, which is a really, really dense hardwood, heavy wood. This one is mahogany. Or rosewood, but this is mahogany. And you want a thick wood. A lot of times you use maple because this is steel pushing into there, and eventually it's going to rub away. And I can actually think I can show you. You might be able to see on this guitar. Let's see if that turns up. Not too well. But you can imagine it. If you take a piece of steel and rub it into a piece of wood over and over and over again, the steel's kind of going to win, isn't it? The steel's going to rub away at that piece of wood. So after time of playing the same chords and pushing those strings into that fret, or the neck, that's going to start to wear away. So there's your neck. The big metal wires across the neck, these are called frets. And they are their wires, they're metal wires. And you can kind of see a little bit there how tall they are. They're big, thick, round wires. And the bottom part of this wire, it's not just round, but the bottom part actually has a point to it. It comes to a V. And a luthier, a person who works on guitars, can pound that in at the right spacing, and it'll drive right into the wood, and it'll stay there, and that will be, then you can actually shave it down and make it just perfect so that it fits and sounds right, and it doesn't vibrate, and it doesn't catch your finger because your hand's sliding up here, so they have to trim. I don't know if you can see that. You have to trim because your hand's going to slide up and down. You don't want to be cutting your finger on metal wires, fret wires. And then the other thing you'll notice about the neck of a guitar, most all guitars, yeah, they've all got them, these little dots. See that? That's an inlaid dot. Inlaid because it's a piece of turtle shell or tortoise shell, we call it. It's kind of a plastic, but it's set into the wood. And most of them are standard frets, on standard frets. I'm saying that badly. Most of them are on the same frets on every guitar. There's also a little dot you can see on the top that corresponds with the dots on the side here on the face of it. So the top fret dot is so the player looking down can see what fret he's looking at. And you usually will find them on the 3rd fret, 5th fret, 7th, 9th, and then on the 12th fret, way up here on the 12th fret. And the 12th fret's pretty special, but there's 2 of them. See that? And then when you look on the face of it, there's 2 on the 12th fret here. And I'll show you on the other guitar, pretty much the same thing. These ones are a little bit different design. There's kind of a star, and this one has 2 on the 5th fret as well, and then up there 2 on the 12th fret, and then you can see again on the top, the neck of the guitar, there's the dots here, so the player can see where about his fingers are. He can look down and say, oh yeah, I'm right there, I'm on the 10th fret, 9th fret, 10th fret, and 9th fret. All right. There's a couple more things about this guitar that I'll show you that this other one doesn't have. That's this here on the body. You'll see this on most acoustic guitars too. This is called a pick guard or a scratch plate. And it's for the exact reason you'd think. It guards the body of the guitar from getting scratched by the pick. And you'll see on my other guitar, on this one, I don't have a scratch guard, but I do have scratches. See that? So that's what a pick guard does, is guards the guitar from getting those kind of scratches. And they can happen all kinds of reasons, but some say they make the guitar look kind of rough, but that's what happens when you play a guitar, right? They're supposed to be played. You're supposed to take them out and play them. Okay, so other parts. I'll show you a little something on this guitar. It has what's called onboard electronics, and in the end, that's a strap button where you would put, if you're going to carry it on your shoulders, you put a strap on there, and the other end of the strap right there, up by the neck. And in most acoustic electric guitars, because this guitar can be plugged in, so can this one, you'll have a strap button that also doubles as a plug-in. So you can plug the guitar into an amplifier and get more sounds through plug it in so you can project it out through speakers and stuff. So to do that, this also has electronics on board, and you have a volume switch, it has a tuner This tuner, like the one that was on the neck of the other guitar, that tuner's built right in. You can kind of see it, saying that's an E. And then it's got a volume, a bass, a treble, so you can adjust your tones and get your sound where you want to sound when you're playing to a crowd. That's pretty much, that's the basic parts of a guitar, and almost all guitars are going to have that. So let's talk a little about the strings and the tuning of a guitar, okay? So we tuned it up, showed you the tuner. Tuner's still on. Always shut your tuner off because you'll lose your battery, and then you'll need your tuner one day and the battery will be dead. So this is a standard tuning for a guitar. It's E, A, D, G, B, E. That's a standard guitar tuning. There's a low E and a high E. And if you listen real close, you can hear they're kind of the same tone. Just one of them's lower, not the same tone. They're the same note. One of them's lower, one of them's higher. They're an octave apart. And octaves in music theory is a whole nother bunch of lessons that I'm not qualified to tell you. But I can tell you that the standard guitar tuning is going to be low E, A, D, G, B, and then a high E. So you're back around to E. And this, there's different sections on the fingerboard that play the same notes. So you can have like a note here will be this note. That should be the same note. That's an A note played on the 5th fret of the E string. That it should be that next string down, should be the A string. So the other thing about music, I shouldn't get into music theory. I'm gonna get you guys confused, and we don't want to do that. What I will try to do is show you a couple of different kind of cool things. So from here to here, the length of your string is what decides what note it is. Okay, that's what gets your frequency. That's a low E. So if I put my finger here on the 1st fret right there, you kind of heard the change. You heard the note change, right? So what I did, and what these frets do, is actually just make the string shorter. And so that the frequency changes, because now we're vibrating a shorter string. So it doesn't have as much room to shake and vibrate, and it changes the tone. The pitch goes higher as you go up the neck. So that's an E note. On the 1st fret, we shorten that up, that's an F note. And then the next one is an F sharp, which means it's half a step to the next whole note. Again, this is music theory stuff. Don't worry about it right now. But right here is a G. So E, F, G. Okay? And then you'll get, I'm what's called a rhythm guitar player. Okay? I play chords and strum like you saw in that song. And that keeps the rhythm of the song, but not necessarily the leads. You'll see these guys in lead stuff like that. Those are lead guitar players. Not my bag. I'm not very good at that. But you can figure out these chord positions. And if you put, I'm just going to show you one. I don't expect you guys to learn this, but if you put a finger here, here, and here, that's a G chord. And any guitar you pick up, any 6-string standard tuned 6-string guitar, that's going to be a G chord, okay? And then if you move those 2 fingers down 2 strings, and then put this finger on this B string, that's going to be a C chord. And again, the cool thing about guitars and the standard tuning of them, if you have a 6-string guitar standard tuned and you learn to play it, and you go to somebody else's house and they have a 6-string guitar standard tuned, and you pick it up, everything you learned on your guitar will sound the same on their guitar. And now I'm going to throw a wrench into that. Because this guitar, over here, I'll move this one a little closer. Maybe you can see them both, because I'll show you something in a minute. This is in a different tuning. So you can tell the difference here. this is tuned to where the strings play an open chord, an open D chord. So all you have to do now to make a chord, rather than all the different finger stretches and different stuff over here, is cover all the strings, and it just shortens them up. And because they're all tuned to a chord right now, they just, oh, there it is, just covering all the strings, plays a different chord. So there's different songs you can play when you change your tuning of a guitar. That note, that little sound there, is what's called a harmonic, okay? That, when you barely lightly touch the string over the 12th fret, it kind of rings out, and you just barely cover the string. Why do you think that is? Here's what this doesn't, it won't look like. It will look weird and it doesn't seem right, but here's the 12th fret. And what the 12th fret is exactly halfway between the saddle and the nut. Okay, so the string starts at the saddle, ends up here at the nut. Halfway is the 12th fret. And you get a harmonic halfway through. I can't really understand or explain what a harmonic means, but I can tell you it's halfway, it strikes off halfway between the nut and the saddle. So let's try one more song, and I'll thank you for coming to the Science Cellar. Feed the fish and water the plants, and brush your teeth and put on your pants. Pick up the paper as you're walking out the door. Wait to the neighbor as you get into your car. Work all morning, take a break, work real hard at the end of the day. At the end of the week you take home your pay to feed the fish and water the plants, and brush your teeth and put on your pants. Does it feel like lately everything you do is just a little bit one way? Everything you do is so hard to understand. And you open the paper, read the words, you watch Dan Rather, and you get concerned. State your opinion as you have another drink. Tell your companion exactly what you think. He says you're wrong, you know you're right. Lottery winners and meteorites, you saw it there in black and white. When you opened the paper and you read the words, you watched Dan Rather and you got concerned. Does it feel like lately everything you do is just a little bit crazy? Everything you do is so hard to understand. It seems this world is fueled by contradictions, pushed round and round and round by contradictions. Like feed the fish and water the plants, brush your teeth and put on your pants. Open the paper and read the words, watch Anderson Cooper and get concerned. Does it feel like lately everything you do is just a little bit one way? Everything you do is just a little bit crazy. Everything you do is so hard to understand. feed the fish. That was written by a friend of mine, and I've been talking too long, so my voice dried out. Thanks for coming to the Science Cellar. I hope you found this pretty cool. If it works out, maybe we'll do another one. I'll see you again. Stay healthy. Wash your hands.